Figures appear to show the coronavirus restrictions are working.
It has changed the way that businesses have been operating ahead of the Easter.
Virgin Australia is suspending all domestic flights except for one.
The government has struck a deal with an Australian company to manufacture more ventilators.
The Prime Minister has been moved this evening from intensive care back to
COVID-19 clusters are blooming within several Australian hospitals.
Our woman has been filmed screaming at a retail worker in Sydney's south.
The coronavirus pandemic will cause the worst global economic fallout since the Great Depression.
The main thing is the Easter Bunny is going to be here.
The Prime Minister has used his Easter message to urge Australians not to gather with family and friends over the long weekend.
Easter in Australia will be different this year, as it will be all around the world.
Police are out in force, issuing fines to anyone breaching rules.
Much of Europe has gone into lockdown in the face of the coronavirus's relentless spread. But in the spring sunshine, Stockholm's cafes have customers, the schools are open, and the Prime Minister has urged people not to panic.
After a COVID-19 lockdown in cyclone-battered Vanuatu, around 50 Australians and Americans landed safely in Brisbane.
Singapore has a fresh cluster of coronavirus cases, reporting its biggest daily jump.
Women had to work in the factories, and after the war we found it actually worked quite well. We saw almost a permanent change. Nowadays all women, in particular, and men too, have had to work at home. That will probably be a permanent change in the post-corona economy.
Now, this is not to suggest that a whole lot of people being suddenly forced to work from home is anything but a massive and difficult disruption. But this is about what happens after and whether some lessons can be learned that can make a lot of people's lives better.
New South Wales Minister has been fined $1,000 for breaching the Public Health Act by travelling to his holiday home.
Mathematical modelling is everywhere. In January, the mathematical modelling team doing the influenza work had to pivot to COVID-19, matching what we already knew from modelling in countries like the UK, which is that doing nothing would have been a disaster and that social distancing is the single biggest measure you can take, alongside eliminating cases from overseas.
NRL has set a date to restart 2020 competition. The league's governing commission says games will resume on the 28th of May.
Federal public servants will have their salaries frozen as the government says they need to help share the economic burden from the virus.
No city has endured the coronavirus crisis as long as Wuhan. By morning, heavily protected passengers, many from other cities who had been stranded, finally could leave.
Australia's faithful are replacing stained glass windows with Wi-Fi.
Germany's air ambulance service has never been busier. These helicopters are being used to move critically ill coronavirus patients from one hospital to another.
Passover dinner at the Evian household will be a lot quieter this year.
Tonight we're just the two of us. In the past years we were with all my family and cousins, extended family.
Weeks is a long time in politics, and it's even longer in a pandemic.